Howdy y'all, and welcome back for episode 2 of the Kireth Esports Drift University. My name's Nader, and today I'm going to be going over some more drifting basics to help you get more in touch with your drift car. In this episode, the basics are going to include how to start transitioning, starting with basic figure eights, how to monge so that you can start working on those transitions at a higher speed, and to finish it up, I'm going to show you all a few basic entries. So by the end of this episode, hopefully you'll be able to piece it all together so you can start practicing full track. Also, before we get started, I made a few updates to the tune to make the car feel a little easier to drift on the track. Feel free to pause here so you can grab it if you don't already have a tune. Also, some of y'all were asking for my wheel settings last video, so I thought I'd drop them here too. First up, we have figure eights, which I feel is the best way to start getting a feel for transitions. To start off, I want you to not worry about using the handbrake or the brakes at all. I want you to just play with the throttle and get a feel for that. And the rest is taking what you learned from episode 1 and learning donuts and just trying to add a little flick and see if you can get the feel for flicking and catching the car. You can even get the cones back out like in episode 1, but it doesn't really matter how close they are together. You could honestly use the whole skid pad and it would be great. Because honestly, the only thing I care about you focusing on here is your transitions. I wanted to add, the only reason that we started here instead of going straight to monges is that I wanted you to be able to find the control of your transitions while not having to worry about carrying your speed and holding angle. With this, literally you could do the ugliest donut, but as long as you get the feel for a transition, that's what matters. And once you start getting a feel for the normal figure eights, you can start working a little handbrake, start working a little left foot brake. I definitely prefer more left foot braking over handbraking, as you really want to save the handbrake for a last minute save, usually only in tandems, mainly just because it puts you off your line. But at the same time, you do still need to know how it works, so I would play around with it a little bit. So if you need to extend a drift or slow down, I would recommend using left foot brake, because it keeps you on your line, lets you stay smoother, and lets you use the throttle at the same time to help hold your line that you're trying to extend. Next up, we have monges, and real quick I want you all to see, all you have to do with this car is literally just slam the gas and shift up. This car can literally hold a monge all the way through 6 without releasing the throttle one bit. If y'all can, I really want you to take advantage of this, as it helps you get a direct focus on the steering of the car and transition without having to worry about the throttle for a bit. Once you get comfortable with this, that's when you can start playing around and seeing how long you can extend a gear. First off, you can start by playing a little bit in third and play with the throttle a bit. You'll definitely notice though, third is a tougher gear to hold the monge in, as you really have to play with the throttle to keep the car from revving out. You will end up finding that 4th and 5th gear are definitely the more comfortable gears to play around in when you want to work throttle control. After you start to get a good feel for that, I want you to start practicing some left foot braking with it too. And in this, you'll notice you can start to use third a little bit more, and that 5th gear is going to be a little bit harder to hold, just because you're going at a little bit of a slower speed, while still having grip. But you'll notice if you look closely here, I also want you to make sure that you're not pressing the brake as you're going across the road. You want to only use left foot braking when you're holding an angle, and then once you're trying to go across the road, that's when you got to get back on the gas and power across. Last up for this episode, we're going to work on your basic entry, and we're here at Suzuka because this is the go-to track for drift lobbies, so I want y'all to know it early. Also, I want to add, third gear will pretty much take you all the way around this track, so don't be worrying about shifting at all here. So for the first entry, I just want you to cruise up in third and get the steering wheel a good flick in, then you're quickly going to have to counter steer. If you over-rotate, that means you either flick the steering wheel too hard or you held onto the gas a little too long. And if you under-rotated, vice versa. Second type of entry I'm going to help you all out with today is the feint entry, where instead of relying on the car to have power, you simply flick the wheel right, then left, so that you disrupt the car's grip. The last entry that I'm going to have you try is the monge entry. Now I want you to take what you learned from the second part of this episode and bring it here with one extra factor. Now you just have to learn how to control the car so that you get the car entered right where you need it to. If you can do this, you're definitely ready to take it onto the track. And that's going to do it for the second episode of the Kireth Esports Drift University. Hopefully you're at the point now where you can take your skills onto the full track and start practicing. And in the next episode, we'll start working on good clipping points of Suzuka and how to hold your angle instead of oversteering or straightening out. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider liking and hitting that subscribe button. I'm really hoping we can get this drift community going so that we can start getting Polyphony's attention. Because drifting in this game has so much potential, but I don't think we as a community have grabbed their attention enough to get what we want out of the game. But with y'all's support and hopefully a good future with this, I really hope that we can start getting their attention. So that's going to be it for this episode. Appreciate y'all for watching. Again, please drop a like, hit subscribe, and we'll be back with the next episode.